translation. As the Vedas, of course, this is Vidura making his questions, his inquiry, his statement to stimulation. He's stimulating Uddhava. As the Vedas are the reservoir of sacrificial purposes, so the daughter of King Devaka-bhoja conceived the Supreme Personality of Godhead in her womb, as did the mother of the demigods. Is she, Devakī, doing well? So then, purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Page down. Okay, purport. Prabhupada says, the Vedas are full of transcendental knowledge and spiritual values. And thus Devakī, the mother of Lord Krishna, conceived the Lord in her womb as the personified meaning of the Vedas. It's a nice analogy, comparing Devakī to the Vedas, and Krishna as the kind of the Vedanta Sutra, like that, the essence of all of this. There is no difference between the Vedas and the Lord. The Vedas aim at the understanding of the Lord, and the Lord is the Vedas personified. Okay. And next slide then, number 6. Devakī, Prabhupada finishes, is compared to the meaningful Vedas, and the Lord is their purpose personified. So, of course, we looked on in the library there, the internet, and I was trying to find a biography of Devakī, but all of them just started with her, persecution by Kamsa. But someplace I remember reading that she's actually biologically one of the daughters. I think he even mentions that of Maharaj Ugrasena. So therefore, she is the sister of Kamsa, and I guess somewhere there. Anyway, so then, but he then gave her as to be raised up by Maharaj Devaka-bhoja. So the complex of dynasties is Andak, Vrishni, Satvata, Yadu, Bhoja. And so she was raised then as the daughter of Maharaj Devaka-bhoja, who didn't have any little girl. And so she became known as Devakī, like that. Although she is biologically the daughter of Ugrasena and then the sister of Kamsa, kind of. Okay. So then after that, of course, a very special personality. Of course, in previous life, what they were Prishnin Sutapa or something like that. And the austerities for so much time, denying sense gratification to purify the body of its gross element, gross nature, until it becomes, so subtle that it can actually, even if we're in this world, we can then be directly linked to the spiritual platform. And of course, in the spiritual platform, we serve Krishna, serve Radha Krishna, and there's so much reaction from that, ever increasing, ever new reactions, new harmony, new concentration. Whereas in the material world, all of the service simply results in more and more disharmonies and more frustrations and confusion. So they were qualified then to serve Radha and to serve Krishna in this, not Radha Krishna, to serve Krishna in this humor of Dasiras, Shantaras, Dasiras, yeah. So there wasn't much there. The Prabhupada's purport is very simple. That they actually the background, and of course there is a whole story that in the 10th canto it describes that Devakī's pregnancy was growing, and beautiful prayers by the demigods to Krishna in her womb. Prabhupada says the demigods offered fascinating prayers. And then before that, of course, it says that just as the sun, its light is transferred to the moon, to the rising moon at nighttime, so same way Krishna was transferred from the heart of Vasudeva to the heart of Devakī, like that. And so she became the reservoir, the background of Krishna. Very interesting. So we couldn't think of much to talk about today. It'd be a short class. But if you go to slide number 7, then we look at actually in Devaki's prayers, because if she is like the package, the envelope in which the letters being held and presented nicely, her prayers to Vishnu when he appears in the prison house, which is kind of the humor of Vidura, might be interesting. So then we went to Srimad Bhagavatam 10:3:23. 10:3:23, which is the appearance of Lord Krishna. And Sukadeva Goswami continued, the verse translation says, thereafter, having seen that her child had all the symptoms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Devakī, who was very much afraid of Kamsa and unusually astonished, began to offer prayers to the Lord. So if you can see it, there's a nice picture there of a very old BBT picture of Vasudeva and Devakī. And Krishna is there in his four-arm form, but also his baby form. And seeing him and seeing all this, they were, of course, a very different kind of consciousness. And first Vasudeva offered prayers, and then Devakī. So she began offering prayers in 10:23. You go to the next slide, number 8. Okay, so 10:24. And we have the Sanskrit here. You just chant this, like that. 24, 25, I think down to 31, like 5 verses. Shri Devakī uvacha, rupam yattat prahur avyaktam adyam, brahma jyotir nirgunam nirvikaram, satamatram nirvishesham niriham, satvam shakshad vishnur adyatmadipa. And 25. Naste loke dvi parar dhahavasane, mahabhuteshvadi bhutam gateshu, vyakte vyaktam kala vegena yate, bhavam ekashishyate sheshasabhya. 26. Yoyam kalastasyate vyakta bando, chestam mahush chestate jena vishvam, nime shadir vatsaranto mahiyams, tam tveshanam kshema dama prapadye. And then next slide, number 9, text number 27. Martyo mtyubhyalabhita pralayam, lokam sarvam nirbhayam nadyagachat, tvat padabjam prapya yadrichayadya shustar sheti mrityurasvadapaiti. 28. Satvam gorad ugrasen atmajamnas, trahi trastam vritya vritasahasi, rupam chedam purusham dhyanadishnyam, ma prapya kshamamam drisham kshikshishthaham. And 29, the meter changes. Jammate mayaso papo, ma vidya madhusudana, samudvijay babadheto, kamsaraham madiradim. And slide number 9. Okay, last 2 here. And 30 continues with the same meter. Upasamhara vishvatmanam, ado rupam alaukikam, sankhya chakra gada padma, shriya justam chaturabhujam. And then she finishes off everything in text number 30. Goes back to the same meter. Vishvam yade tatsvatanao nishante, yatha karsham purusha paro bhavan, bibarti soyam mama gagobud. Different meter actually. Ahon rilokasya vidambanam hitat, Vishvam yade tatsvatanao nishante, yatha karsham purusha paro bhavan, vibarti soyam mama garbobud, ahon rilokasya vidambanam hitat. There's 1 meter. I mean, maybe people know better than I do, which is like 1 syllable longer than the Brahma Samhita meter, and very difficult to chant. Even they ask these big Sanskrit scholars, it's hard to chant. Okay, so slide number 11, then we have translation. And it says, Sri Devakī said, my dear Lord, there are different Vedas, some of which describe you as unperceivable through mind and words, through words and mind. My dear Lord, there are different Vedas, some of which describe you as unperceivable through mind and words. So she's starting off with that kind of perspective. Some of the Vedas, and trying to understand Krishna through different Vedas, different resources like that, and describing him as unperceivable through mind and words. Of course, we always remember one of our Jewish rabbi friends. We were talking about interfaith dialogue, and he said to most Jewish perspectives, God is a person, but he's so great that we can never catch up with him. And so in general conception, you'll find many cases the idea in Jewish culture, of course variety, is that what we'll see is God's footprints or things like that. He'll be one step ahead of us. So maybe like a Paramatma conception. So something similar here. You are described as unperceivable through mind and words. And then she says, yet you are the origin of the entire cosmic manifestation. She's not talking about the spiritual world. She's like, well, maybe she is. She's talking about the cosmic manifestation. You are Brahman, the greatest of everything, full of effulgence like the sun. So it's very much like the Upanishad, huh? You have no material cause. You are free from change and deviation. You are change and deviation. And you have no material desires. Sounds very Upanishadic. Not this, not that. Thus, okay, the Vedas say that you are the substance. Yes, that's the Vastu word we heard. You say that you are the substance. Okay, he has no material cause. He's free from change. He has no material desires. He's the greatest of everything, full of effulgence. Yeah, but he's the substance. Does that mean the substance is full of all these interesting qualities? Therefore, my Lord, you are directly the origin of all Vedic statements, and by understanding you, one gradually understands everything. That's nice, gradually. To begin to see, hear the philosophy and the culture. We experience that with some idea, some concept, and then gradually we begin to see in our own experience and our own intelligence. You see, oh yeah, that's true. And so gradually we begin to then readjust our intelligence in terms of the experience, memories, perceptions, in terms of the actual information we're getting from the Vedas. And by understanding you, one gradually understands everything. You are different from the light of Brahman and Paramatma, yet you are not different from them. Everything emanates from you. So, of course, etching to Veda conception. So nice. Indeed, you are the cause of all causes. Indeed, you are the cause of all causes. Lord Vishnu, the light of all transcendental knowledge. That's text 24. If you go to the next slide, text 25. After millions of years, at the time of cosmic annihilation, after millions of years, at the time of cosmic annihilation, when everything manifested and unmanifested is annihilated by the force of time, the five gross elements enter into the subtle conception. Yes? And the manifested categories enter into the unmanifested substance. At that time, you alone remain, and you are known as Ananta Seshanaga. In text 26. O inaugurator of the material energy, this wonderful creation works under the control of powerful time, which is divided into seconds, minutes, hours, and years. This element of time, which extends for many millions of years, is but another form of Lord Vishnu. For your pastimes, you act as the controller of time. For your pastimes, you act as the controller of time. You are the reservoir of all good fortune. Let me offer my full surrender unto your lordship. So it's seeming very nice. At first she's describing Krishna as such transcendental terms as Brahman and so on. Then she's specifically talking about him in terms of the annihilation and the material world and the time factor, how all the different elements merge back into him. And she calls him the inaugurator of the material world. And everything is working under his form as time. So time and the material elements are mentioned. 513. Okay, 513, we have text number 27 and 28. No one in this material world has become free from the four principles, birth, death, old age, and disease, even by fleeing to various planets. But now that you have appeared, my Lord, death is fleeing in fear of you, and the living entities have obtained shelter at your lotus feet. By your mercy, they are sleeping, yes, in full mental peace. Death is fleeing in fear of you, and living entities have obtained shelter at your lotus feet. By your mercy, they are sleeping in full mental peace. In text 28. My Lord, because you dispel all the fear of your devotees, I request you to save us and again give us protection from the terrible fear of Kamsa. These are, of course, the two verses that were in a different meter. Very more personal, direct now. I request you to save us and give us protection from the terrible fear of Kamsa. Your form as Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is appreciated by yogis in meditation. Please make this form invisible to those who see with material eyes. In the very last verse. Oh, two more verses. I'm sorry. These are the verses that are in. This is slide number 14. These are the ones that are in a different meter. O Madhusudan, because of your appearance, I have become more and more anxious in fear of Kamsa. Therefore, please arrange that sinful Kamsa, who will be unable to understand that you have taken birth from my womb. O my Lord, you are the all-pervading Supreme Personality of Godhead, and your transcendental four-armed form, holding conch shell, disc, club, and lotus, is unnatural for this world. Please withdraw this form and become just like a natural human child, so that I may try to hide you somewhere. And the final verse. At the time of devastation, the entire cosmos, containing all created moving and non-moving entities, enters into your transcendental body and is held there without difficulty. But now this transcendental form has taken birth from my womb. People will not be able to believe this. I should become an object of ridicule. Jai. Devakī Maya ki jai. Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh goodness. My battery is dying. I have to get the power pack here. 1 second.
Maharaj, are you there? You still connected? Maybe I should unmute everybody right now.
Okay, Harshna. My gosh. The battery almost died.
Is today an Ekadashi in Hawaii?
No.
Yeah.
Saturday?
Next Sunday.
Oh, thank you.
Here in Tennessee is tomorrow, Saturday. Okay. At the time of devastation, the entire cosmos, containing all created moving and non-moving entities, enters into your transcendental body and is held there without difficulty. But now this transcendental form has taken birth from my womb. Please, people will not be able to believe this, and I should become an object of ridicule. Very interesting. Devaki's in a very, very awkward position, having to deal with all this transcendental potency, but at the same time, too, she's caught up in the simple consciousness of being Krishna's mother and being in this particular situation like that. It seems that both of these are inconceivable to us, the actual level of intelligence, of knowledge of protocol, etiquette, people's consciousness, such a high level that must have existed 5,000 years ago. It's like, children trying to understand adult society. Beyond that, her prayers, which are including all these niraham, nirguna, all these very, very elevated logical concepts about the reality, also seem beyond us in many ways like that, very Upanishadic in the training. And this seemingly impersonal training, I think, creates the Shuddha Sattva environment, to deal with this material world and its categories and the mind and the different elements of creation like that. It puts us in the Shuddha Sattva category. And then in that environment, then in the Vasudeva environment, Vasudeva is born from Vasudeva. Somebody's bouncing their microphone there. We're getting scratchy noise. So then that Vasudeva gives birth to Vasudeva. So in the pure Vasudeva consciousness, then we can actually have personal relationship with Krishna. So to say there was a very simple purport, and I couldn't find any more information like that. So anybody have any comments or anything about this section like that?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Balabhadra Prabhu.
Oh, hello.
Jai.
The priest.
Thank you.
Or maybe Mukhapadaya.
As I look at the purport here, Maharaj, it's just Prabhupada is making the statement that Devakī is compared to the meaningful Vedas. That's a very interesting phrase, the meaningful Vedas. It seems somewhat elusive to me in trying to understand what he really means when he says that. Could you talk a little bit on that?
Not much more than you can, I guess. This basic same conception is that, meaningful means full of meaning, like that. And so the Vedas in some way, of course, I would say the same thing. They create this logical, at the best logical, and then a little bit more gross, they create a ritualistic standard or way of doing things, That, for example, when you offer the bhoga or to the ancestors in the Shraddha ceremony, you have to offer it with both hands. If you offer it with one hand, they won't accept it apparently. And so we see it's actually a fact. When we kind of do these things, we feel, yes, it's more respectful. So the Vedas, they include all these rituals, which then, offer, create a certain kind of relationship to higher authority, like that, And after that, in the Jnana-kanda section, they start to give us, like we're doing right now, put all of our knowledge in order in different categories and different kind of relationships in terms of grammar and that kind of stuff. And in Upasana-kanda, then we start to actually worship, different forms and personalities directly as personalities. And then finally coming to the Supreme Personality of Godhood, which is, Vishnu, that in that respect. Devakī doesn't really understand much more than we're talking about here, the form of Vishnu and Vaikuntha. And maybe even what she's talking about is Mahavishnu, how all the elements go back into your body at the end of creation like that. And maybe even Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and elements going into his body. Of course, he goes back into Mahavishnu. So then, the Vedas are there, and in the end, the essence of the Vedas, what they're saying, is Krishna. That's the whole meaning. So she's like the meaningful Vedas. Because all these things have a purpose. All these things have a richness of a purpose. They have a reason. They have a logic, and so on. So if we finally go back to that, the essence, the Upasana-kanda, the real meaning is to worship Krishna and help Krishna and his particular aspirations and desires. Yeah. So that's what I'm understanding. She's the envelope, and Krishna is the message.
Thank you, Kani Maharaj.
Maharaj, many times we find that the Vedas is referred to, like in this first Tra'i, the 3 Vedas, not 4 Vedas. Like the Atharva Veda is left out. I've never understood that. Why is that? I mean,
I also don't know. Yeah.
Oh.
And we get someone like Hridayananda Maharaj or Radhika, our different Vedic scholars. They might know. I've heard people that anything that comes up, they find some document or something like this, and that it's immediately attributed to the Atharva Veda. It must be a part of the Atharva Veda. And it's more includes more like the, what do you call it, like Vastu Veda and Jyotish Veda. It's more like that. It's more like Shilpa rather than knowledge. It's more livelihood and that kind of thing. So that in that sense, maybe there's this kind of prejudice against it because it deals more with these practical Shudra type things and stuff. But that's all I know.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Dandavats Maharaj.
Okay.
Haribol.
Actually, Harsh Prabhu
Nice.
speaking first.
It's okay, Prabhu.
Okay.
You can go ahead.
Okay. Okay, I have a question. So, how did Krishna first appear? Did he appear as a youthful or full-grown Vishnu form like we see in the paintings? Or did he appear as a four-handed newborn Vishnu baby as we see in the verses in Krishna book?
I didn't go into any detail there. I don't know. I really don't know. My impression was he first appeared as a...
The verses, I think the verses trump the paintings. It's
so
odd.
too.
It's odd that we have paintings that don't represent the verses.
Especially
So the verses,
with
Vasudev saw that wonderful child born as a baby with 4 hands. That's Krishna book.
Yeah.
It's not even the extended 10th canto. And that follows exactly, and it's, Prabhupada, in the purport, is very clear. I don't know how this happened, these paintings. It is clear from the word Chatur Bhujam that Krishna first appeared with 4 hands as Lord Vishnu. No ordinary child in human society has ever been born with 4 hands. And there's a verse, Balyam, or it definitely means child. It doesn't mean youthful 16-year-old or full-grown Vishnu.
Yeah.
And it's always, these paintings have really confused a lot of devotees. The verses are very clear on this. And so someone failed to illustrate the verse properly. You can see a painting. If you ever go to Vrindavan, you go to Nandagram, and they have a proper painting illustrating this verse, a 4-handed Vishnu baby, before Devakī and Vasudeva.
So I think, what is it? His scattered hair fully grown, his helmet and earrings sparkling. The child decorated with brilliant armlets and so on. So, and Prabhupada says that Bhuta like that and stuff. And when the child is, when is a child with fully grown? And when is a child born with fully grown hair? The descent of the Lord is therefore completely distinct from the birth of an ordinary child. Yeah, the Lord's helmet and earrings were decorated with jewels, So you can see it appears. But that's the thing too, is because even Vishnu in Vaikuntha, like we're saying, is 16 years old. But so what do we have here? We have a baby with helmet and earrings and full-grown hair, and 4 arms, But Balakam, Bala Gopal. So it's strange.
I think he appears like this as Vamana in the Vamana pastime also.
So Vamana is about like what? About like 8 years old or something.
Right. I think he first appears in a four-arm form just to let them know he's Vishnu.
Yeah. And the Prabhupada says also four-arm form, but fully grown head of hair, and what else?
Mm-hmm.
Helmet. That too. Yeah.
Right.
Whatever it was.
So it's not a regular birth.
But it says Balakam. You see that. It says that definitely, Balakam. Abhuta. Wonderful. Tamadbhutam Balakam. Ambu Jikshanam Chatubhujam. Shanka Gada Adi Udhayam. Different weapons also.
Right.
Besides the Shanka.
Yeah, Balakam. Right.
Shivatsam. Yeah. Kaustubha jewel. Yellow garments. Wow. And then he turned himself into a completely, baby-looking baby like that. Yeah. So I mean, I think I always tend to think of Krishna.
And then it makes sense. Devaki's praying to this baby, please hide yourself.
Oh yeah, I think that's for me. That was for sure from the beginning.
He's afraid for the small Vishnu baby. So she says, hide your form.
Yeah.
Kamsa will know.
Yeah. So in the beginning, definitely the four-arm form, and like that, then becomes like then again two-arm, like that. But Harsh also had some complaint there.
No, it's not a complaint, Maharaj. Thank you very much for the class. I was just curious on this, that when I saw these, heard this prayer, so I was actually surprised the Mother Devaki is just praying at this platform. So I was also thinking that generally I myself like these sections of Prabhupada books as compared to the personal description of the form or the exchange between devotees. So why is that, and what should I do to move ahead, or is it okay where I am?
Yeah. Again, a basic point is any attachment to the Bhagavatam anyway is very nice, and then whatever attachment we have, we should cultivate it. It's real. It's no loss. And then as that cultivates, of course, that will then expand itself and grow in different ways like that. But again, we could be, maybe we're our Swarupa is like cowherd boys in Goloka or something. Who knows? But right now, we're caught up in so much modulation by they call it touch, sight, forms, taste, smell, which of course behind that is different ideas, conceptions, attitudes. Behind that is our independence, our attitude of being independent from Krishna. So everything we see is nothing but a manifestation of independence from Krishna. So depending on how intense it is or wherever we're at like that, then we all we can see maybe is just the negative aspect of the material world, which is in the opulence and grandeur and we'll call it purity of the spiritual world. Like these prayers, like you were the Brahman, you were the cause of all causes, all the elements merge back into you, like that. So maybe very natural we start that way. And so then whatever we have, we can cultivate that, we can appreciate it. And then if we do get some kind of appreciation about more intimate aspects in Dwarka or Vrindavan, okay, and some faith, these are there, okay. So, but that's where the lighthouse is, and keep in mind that these are possible. But that's the whole point, is that we, in the beginning, we may get some causeless mercy and appreciate Krishna's pastimes with Radha and Krishna and like that. And okay, it's okay. But really, without a very, very strong basis in Vedanta, we're not going to be able to appreciate these in a transcendental sense. what we'll have will be very much like this Joy was discussing before, the form of the deity and everything else will really be, like a deity pretty much. We'll get some feeling that Krishna is there, but pretty much we'll be seeing very much, from a static point of view and the massiveness of marble and the hardness and coldness of brass, But something's there, it's real. So I would say in the beginning it's not unnatural. We have these maybe more like Shantaras type feelings and stuff, and we should cultivate them, And but at the same time too, if we have some faith, even though maybe we'll experience that there are higher things and maybe that's a better way to serve Krishna, okay, we can keep those in mind, and then we can go through these Shantaras things, with that perspective in mind, and we're trying to enter into these more delicate forms of service, because Krishna wants that, like that.
Maharaj, when you say cultivate, what exactly it practically means? I just understand read more. That's all I understand.
Well, look, different people at different levels. For example, some people, their way of cultivating is to go to the. I know one group of devotees. They're in one temple, actually in Denver. Temple, why not? It's totally a public thing. And these guys tell me that there's about 4 or 5 of them. Usually maybe like all these, at least 4 of them are there. And they've been coming to the Sunday feast and singing and dancing and eating lots of halava and everything else. And after everybody else is gone, they clean the whole temple up and leave maybe like about 10 o'clock at night. They always get together and smoke a lot of marijuana before they come to the Sunday feast. Oh my goodness, have a good time, And so, okay, if that's where they're at and they're really trying their best, then their cultivation of Krishna consciousness is to, is to eat a lot of prasadam and chant Hare Krishna, and then by that and sincerely try to get free from these, tamasic habits. So at that level, that's what cultivation means for them. For somebody else, it means to be cultivating at the standard of initiated devotee. Make sure you're always getting up early, And then after that, it means getting up early with like good consciousness and not falling asleep again after you're up and stuff in the morning. And somebody else, it means to actually start cultivating and chanting, picking out certain prayers. So when you're chanting your 16 rounds, you're chanting in a certain mood and consciously, cultivating that. Somebody else can cultivate their relationship with the deity. Always looking for gifts, different kinds of nice flowers all the time and different kinds of nice ornaments and so on, So it means different people for different things for different people at different levels, And for that, especially get good association, good association of Prabhupada and his books, and then find out what your level is, what cultivation means at your level.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Jai, good to hear you.
Anybody else?
Yeah. Hey, just in general, commenting here that it's very nice that I was thinking about this because it's very simple. It's not much to say really. Is that it's all kind of taken together, and Vidura is basically Vidura is becoming what is he? He's becoming the vibhava, the stimulus for Uddhava's bhava, his reaction. Which would be what it would be Sattvika bhava and Anubhava. He'll have different kinds of symptoms of becoming stunned, voice becoming choked up, and then Anubhava, he'll start describing the pastimes and talking about them in very beautiful language, and the whole situation like that. So Uddhava's part, Vidura's part, is very important in terms of asking just the right questions and the right perspective. And mostly he's talking about Krishna's pastimes in this world, and I think mostly from the perspective of some different perspectives from Dwarka and his family, and the Kurus like that, And after this, of course, there's this beautiful prayers, by Uddhava. And all this is what at the end of the second canto, this is all what they wanted to hear, because they've been listening to the descriptions of how Brahma saw Vishnu and received the Chatra Slok. So they wanted to hear something higher. And they were suspecting that what Uddhava and Maitreya had heard, and it's a fact, because Krishna explained about the position of himself in Dwarka as being higher than what Brahma had revealed, understood. So then there's going to be these nice discussions. Also, all this is heading to this discussion between Maitreya and Vidura, and gradually then going, to these higher pastimes and stuff like that. Okay. So any final comments, questions here?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the class. I was wondering, again, I must have, it went over my head or something, about Devakī also being the daughter of Ugrasena, because in everything I've read, she's either the daughter of Devaka or there's someone else in there called Devapā. That there's a translation of the Mahabharata it's just called the Southern Translation, where Devaka has a son named Devapā, and then Devakī is one of 7 daughters born to Devapā. And so actually Devakī ends up being the niece of Kamsa. And then, like in the other Puranas, the Agni Purana and those, usually it says Devakī is the daughter of Devaka, who's very old. He's so much older than Ugrasena, and Kamsa is the son of Ugrasena. So you're saying it the other way around?
This is what
or that she's also a daughter of Ugrasena?
I couldn't find any good, because you see, that Kamsa took the reins of the chariot to drive his sister home, like that. Description that Kamsa is the brother, and he's always bringing presents to his sister, like that. But I remember, this is what, again, all of my memory was just that, again, maybe older, he never had a daughter. He was feeling like he'd like to have had a daughter and taking care of her. And so then Ugrasena had enough daughters, and so on. I guess Devakī was okay with the idea. So I can't give any source on it like that. That's what I remember. Is that then Maharaj Ugrasena gave Devakī to Maharaj Devakā-bhoja from the Bhoja dynasty to raise as his daughter, and therefore she's known as Devaka. She's known as Devakī, but actually then biologically she's the daughter of Ugrasena, and therefore so-called biologically the sister of Kamsa. But I tried to find the sources, but I couldn't find them.
Mars, I was thinking this kind of metaphorically, I don't know how relevant this is, somewhat, where we know that, there's the verse in the Gita where Krishna says, Yavan artha udapane sarvataksam plutodike tavan sarveshu vedishu brahmanasya vijanata, that just as all the purposes of the small ponds or wells are satisfied with the great reservoirs that supply them, in the same way that one who knows the purpose behind the Vedas, that all the purposes of the Vedas are at once fulfilled for one who knows the purpose behind them. And so it's we're sort of metaphorically talking about Devakī giving birth to Krishna. And though I don't have the body of a woman, but one I understand, it's, I got the body of a man, that's not so great either, any material body. But apparently for a woman, it's a very wonderful experience of having a child in her womb, and as that child, as her pregnancy goes on in time, her breasts swell and she begins to feel the child kicking within, and great intimacy is developing even before that child is born. So I was just kind of thinking that as we're studying the Vedas, it's almost like a sort of a pregnancy, or following all the regulation of the sadhana bhakti with the ultimate purpose of giving birth to Krishna in our life, Krishna actually manifesting himself before us. Long before we may see him face to face, there's so much intimacy that's experienced, just like a woman who is pregnant experiences great intimacy with her child, even before she's even seen him, whether she knows if it's a man or a woman, a boy or a girl, or what that may be. There's great intimacy between that mother and the child. And so in the same way, where it's kind of like we're in that sense pregnant, like Devakī. And in time, if we continue following the processes, and Krishna will be born in our lives.
with a lot of morning sickness and a lot of vomiting.
Well, it's Kali Yuga. I wasn't throwing that part in. I was just trying to feature the positive side of it. Maybe in other yugas it wasn't so terrible. But, we hear so many wonderful things that a woman must experience in having a child.
No, Prabhupada gives that example himself. He says that Sukadeva Goswami is the father, Maharaj Pariksit is the mother, and the baby is Srimad Bhagavatam. He gives that example too. The spiritual master is the father, the disciples, the mother. Yeah. Yes. That's a very nice example because again, it's just very nice. This like the Vedas are the envelope, and the message is Krishna. Devakī has become the envelope, and then the envelope. What's used for an envelope? There's no message inside, And also too, you see that when it's a very nice message, there'll be a very nice envelope, like that. And you've got a sign for the envelope, has special stamps on it and stuff like that. Oh, it's a big message inside there.
And it's sort of in the same way, we can think of ourselves as the envelope, and the spiritual master has put that seed of bhakti in our hearts. Brahmanda Mamnihe Kona Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasadi Pai Bhakti Lada Bij, by the mercy of the spiritual master, we become impregnated with the seed of bhakti. And as long as, just as a woman has to, very carefully watch her diet and her activities, et cetera, certain things she has to do for the child to grow properly, eat properly, and so on. So we have that seed of bhakti that's planted within us. And we have to be... And
a very, very, very wonderful, unique, new, never before happening service will come out. Yeah. Surprise. I was reading in Ujjvala Nilamani, the beginning, it says that every time anybody sees Krishna, he's always new and astonishing. Every time you see him, you just, my goodness, something. It's new and astonishing like that.
I understand that as you see Krishna, he's continuing to be new and astonishing because he's ever increasing right before your very eyes.
He's astonished himself.
Yeah.
kind of Joe Namath. Like that. Okay, I guess I should get back to work here. Our automobile failed the smog test. I've got to get it over and see if I can get some mechanic to do something to get the smog test passed. Otherwise, we'll be back on our roller skates going around town. Like that. So
thank you, Maharaj.
Thank everybody very much. If we try to adjust our schedule here, but for us Ramananda, maybe if we could do the classes on Thursday, it might be better. Anyway,
Thursday.
And also next Thursday, of course, is Gaur Purnima. Next Thursday, of course, is Gaur Purnima anyway, so it's interesting.
Wednesday in Hawaii.
Oh, Wednesday.
Yeah, for us is
My goodness, everything is different.
And by the way,
world. No, I'm sorry, not Wednesday. I think it's Tuesday. Isn't it Tuesday?
No, I think it's Wednesday.
But anyway, whatever. It's not the same.
But Ekadasi, I think Agora Chandra was asking about Ekadasi. When Ekadasi is technically, I just looked that up. It's in Hawaii. It's technically on Saturday, but it says it's not suitable for fasting. Therefore, we fast for Ekadasi on Sunday. Yeah. I'm not quite sure why. I know that Saturday is Madhavendra Puri's appearance day, and I didn't think we usually fast for that. So I'm not quite sure why. I'm just...
Yeah. Okay, so thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. We'll see him next Thursday then, or next Thursday, Ramananda?
Yes, Thursday.
Okay.
Hari.
All right. Thank you very much for those. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Hari Bol. Glories to Prabhupada.
Hari Bol.